I'm your Chair Talks host Nemanja, and this is retrospective from last week's episode with Milena from MasterCard.
People like to talk about innovation, like we like to talk today, and it's a very sexy word, but nobody's really thinking about will it improve our everyday lives. Around 23% of Serbs are completely excluded from official financial institutions. Mobile phones, it's a great access point for that people to enter official financial streams. And that is a great example of how technology and gadgets actually bring functional innovation.
What do you think is going to be next big thing in fintech?
It's biometry. It's getting momentum in security of payments because can you imagine more safe thing than part of your body to approve something?
This is Chair, place where we discuss innovations. And today our subject is how to innovate customer relationship, or to be more precise, we are going to talk about customer intimacy. And my guest today is Zoran Vasiljev, Group CEO for Centilli, and finally we are going to talk about this subject. Before Zoran started his tenure in Centilli in March 2020, he led projects in EU, MENA and APAC region by holding top executive positions in companies such as Apigate, Axiata Digital, StarHub, R2D Little, Value Partners and Peppers & Rogers Group. Zoran is specialized in telecommunications, merger and acquisitions, organizational transformation, marketing and product development, among many other things. So Zoran, welcome to Chair. It's a great pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you for calling invitation and look forward to having a conversation.
As I mentioned, our subject is customer intimacy, and this started to be somehow the buzzword of today. But it was first mentioned, I think, in 1999 in one HBR article, and probably because of that, there is so many different definitions of what customer intimacy really is, and even more how to achieve it. So I want to start with that, and to get the perspective from you, what is the customer intimacy for you and your company?
I mean, maybe before I share what is it for me and in my company, I'm actually very happy that we're talking about customer intimacy for many reasons. One, because the whole concept was actually coined around customer centricity, which in combination with the article in HBR was also coined by Don Peppers and Martha Rogers, two people that I had the opportunity to work with in Peppers & Rogers Group, that came up with this whole concept of one-to-one marketing, which then translated in customer centricity and customer experience, which then kind of got to full circle and became a customer intimacy concept, which is important to discuss and obviously understand in terms of how do customers get treated in both B2B relationships and B2C relationships as we engage with our customers, with our clients. And the customer intimacy, in the context of my company or in general, it's all related to this whole idea of treating the customer the way you want to be treated. And I think that's the starting point in order to succeed in anything that's customer centric, anything that can even get the flavor of being more customer intimate. And that actually means really understanding the customer needs, the customer's ambition, finding the customer at the right time with the right story, with the right offer, with the right proposition, and kind of driving that relationship more towards this one-on-one relationship, because not every customer is the same, not every customer has same needs, they are not at the same maturity level, especially in a B2B environment. So it's quite an interesting topic, and a lot of things have been written about it, a lot of strategies and consultants have been used around this topic, but at the end of the day, I interpret this as really putting a strategy in place and putting an effort behind treating the customer the way you want to be treated.
I want to go back to Centilla itself and your role there. And as a business leader, you need to empower your company and your employees to get this idea and to get more intimate with the customers. But I'm sure that there is another question here, that you can basically build company culture around this idea. How are you managing to do that?
Yeah, so it's very important that if you preach that you are a customer-centric company, you don't do this by putting posters and values on a wall in your office and say, I'm customer-centric company.
And defined as a mission or a
defined
vision.
as a mission or vision that nobody reads anymore, and you do a spot check of your people and they don't even remember. That's not the point. The point is to actually build value propositions and build your go-to-market propositions in a way as if you are the customer, and test everything first internally on yourself if you're in the shoes of your customer. Only through that process and only through measuring that process, you put yourself in a better position to, number one, deliver on some kind of customer promises that you're making, or number two, changing the approaches depending on the segments that you treat and the segments that you serve with, and then also even incentivize and reward your team based on the feedback that you get from the customers, based on the results that you deliver to these customers, and everything else that what else you think of to the process. So it's very, very important that you put the customer in a center, because customer is the king, and that's true in many, many industries, and that's true in many, many segments. And really start your everyday activities and your everyday tasks that you do in your everyday work with the customer in a center, not with the technology, not with the product, not with the process or anything else that we always have around us, but actually put the customer in a center, understand it, research it, read about it, follow the trends, and then adopt and change if you need so in order to get closer. And we do exactly the same in our organization. Obviously, it starts with a system where you track your customer. It starts with the right incentive plans. It starts with teams that are all customer focused and that actually work with customers. Involve your customers in product testing, in pilot projects. Co-create with your customers in order then not to have as many misses as you might have if you do things without the customers.
I want to talk about innovations itself a little bit more, and I want to ask you about other types of innovations in your company. Since I know that since you came to Centilla as a group CEO, you started initiatives that should jumpstart innovations throughout the company. Can you give me some examples of those innovations that you started and that are in direct relationship maybe with the customer intimacy?
Yeah, so for me, innovation just as a term, it's not something that you do one-off, and it's not a department that sits in a corner office and everybody else waits for them to come up with some innovation. I think innovation is a state of doing the way you want to do your business. It's a state of mind, and it's actually something that is encouraged throughout the organization, especially in an industry like ours that is internet-based, that is digital-based. It's very disruptive, it's very fluid, which means you are required to innovate, not just from a product perspective, but also from a business model perspective, from the thinking perspective, almost all the time. So for us, innovation, it's actually really thinking through an agile way of changing ourselves first in order to meet the market requirements, the market disruptions, to then also address the needs of the customers and be there faster than our competitors and deliver more and clearer customer experience and superior value proposition. And for us in that case, we spend quite a bit of time looking at how do we first disrupt ourselves in order to churn out a new idea or a different business model, and then very, very quickly move into a pilot stage, find the first customer with whom you can test and try, find a friendly one, then maybe even take that piece of innovation for free, just to be the anchor, as we like to call it, the flywheel that will go and take this into the market, so that then we can use that to get better, maybe improve it, and later on commercialize it if it's something that's really the next best thing that we produce.
You told me you want to do the disrupt internally, and I know that throughout many conversations with you earlier, I know that one of the things that since you came in Centilli, and one of the novelties that you brought was OKRs. And can you share with me some high-level advice on how to successfully implement OKRs?
I mean, OKRs are obviously a great methodology and a great tool, originally also coined by Google, and books have been also written about it. And it's all about putting a measurement strategy and methodology in place that focuses on objectives and key results. And it's all about really measure what matters. So we can, traditionally companies, and especially sometimes startups or maybe scale-ups like what we are, we get kind of bogged down by KPIs and by scorecards, and we measure all kinds of unimportant things. And here, OKRs really allow you to design objectives and results that have direct impact on company's performance, and then link this across the organization and across the teams to encourage collaboration and actually coexistence and actually even sharing of the same objectives and results in order to achieve the company's top objective. And that allows for easier management, for accountability. It's very, very transparent. Every single day I know what everybody is working on because I can see his key results and his objectives on the system. Everybody is encouraged to update its own. Everybody knows who else they are depending on in order to complete something that they have promised that they will do. And with that change, obviously accountability has risen in the organization. There's much less empty neutral gears, if I can say so, and therefore, we're excited that we embarked on this process. It's still learning for us, and I think we're getting better at it, but it definitely helps run the organization in a totally different way than what this was before.
Maybe we can connect the customer intimacy and OKRs. Can you give me an example of one of the objectives that you took that is connected with customer intimacy itself?
I mean, one of the key and biggest objectives we had in our OKR approach to customer intimacy, actually to launch a customer success team. And then behind first to put together a customer success team. A customer success team without a customer success strategy has no real job. So we had to do a customer success strategy. And then within the customer success strategy, you start to launch different customer intimacy programs. Select customers that you actually really want to treat in a specific manner, customers that, as I said in our terminology, are flywheels, those that really are driving your business and with whom you can do much more than what you've done before, not just from building joint products and propositions, but those that also you can upsell in the future with some of the new things that you're working on, and all that was put originally in a set of OKRs that are kind of carried and owned by our customer success team and people that are responsible with any relationship with the customers. Starts with key customers, because that's obviously you can't be too ambitious, correct? But the mentality and attitude needs to be that you actually have to treat every customer the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, I love that example because it's showing going from top down, and that's the idea behind the OKRs always. So, because usually those are the mistakes when somebody is implementing OKR, that they are not doing that way. It's usually easier and more natural. It's coming to go from down up, but like this you get better results. It's
Yes,
in the
and
nature
also
of
and
the-
also all of us that no matter where do we sit in organization, and if you want to call it from the top, we're also still responsible for everything that trickles down, correct? And that's how you start to create these dependencies and these links, that this is not just somebody's OKR, this is company's OKR, and all of us participate in one or another way. And I think that's what's the beauty of it, and therefore it has less chance to fail, simply because there's many contributors and many people have dependency on making sure this succeeds, and therefore it's a great methodology.
You mentioned earlier measuring, and of course, it's so important. But big data analytics is a huge part of this. And when we are talking about customer intimacy strategies, those are one of the pillars of it. How are you leveraging this in Centile?
I mean, we are lucky because we are in a business that is a payment and transactional business. So we collect a lot of data, and over 10 years, you can just imagine how much data we have. And maybe we, as a company, we probably never used it as much as we should. But I know examples of other companies that are in a similar position. These days, if you want to succeed, progress, if you want to grow, and if you have ambitions like we do to double and triple our business, you have to be data driven. And data driven, it actually really means understanding the data that you have, having superior analytical skill, having great analysts, use AI, do some stuff that is predictable, match data that you have with third-party data in order to make intelligence and better decisions for your business and for your customers. So for us, it's a huge pillar. It's very, very important in order for us to make smarter decisions, to make better decisions, to save more money, and then eventually to make more money.
I know that is coming now. It's 10 years for Centile, and you have a huge anniversary and everything. And I will come to that later. I want to ask a question regarding the growth of the team, because this year, even with Corona and everything, you managed to rebuild the team and get a bigger one. Can you share with me some stories regarding that growth and how that reflected on your business this year?
I mean, I think we can both agree that 2020, came out to be something that none of us ever imagined. And when the year started, we had different ambitions and we have different ideas and probably different strategies. But the beauty of our industry and the businesses that we are in, and maybe for some of us that have a different butterfly in our stomach, this disruption is exactly what we like. When I say this, I'm mindful of people that are hurt by the pandemic. I'm talking about from the business perspective. And for us, the year was a growth year. It was a year where we had to reinvent, where we had to change. And the strategy that we implemented was shifting gears strategy, which is a strategy about change. And you're right, from the day I landed, which was 1st of March until the end of the year, we hired 27 people. We hired 10 women in our team. We changed the management team. We had a complete new approach of how we want to do things and where we want to take the company. So yeah, doing this in a remote fashion was interesting, and we proved that it's possible. But yeah, we were fortunate enough that the company is in a good shape, and that we had capacity to hire, we had capacity to change, and now we look forward to what 2021 brings.
And just to reflect COVID, and I'm sure that in a year when you started to bring people, it was very hard to have people working from home and all remote thing. How you tackle that stuff?
I mean,
especially from your perspective, because you came as a CEO, get a new team and
Yes,
everything, and
yes.
you need to share the energy, vision, ideas.
yes, it was very interesting. First day on a job. It's the first day of the first case in our country. 3 days later, I send the entire team home, and here it is: new CEO, new strategy, new energy, work from
New
home,
pandemic.
new pandemic, and work from home for 10 months. But you have to quickly think, correct? You have to quickly adjust. You have to quickly find a way of that engagement and to start to build the relationship internally, start to build trust with the people that are there and with the people that you're bringing in. I mean, very, very interesting stories. We had colleagues that were hired in this process and that meet each other on the street and they say, oh, you look familiar, but I'm not really sure from where. They're actually working in the same company because they didn't have a chance. They didn't have a chance to see each other in the office, correct? So, but when you hear these stories, you just say, listen, that's the new normal. That's probably what's going to continue to happen for quite some time, and we just have to deal with it. We have to live with it. But for us, yeah, I mean, we had to readjust. We were doing a lot of things remotely, onboarding new stuff, training new stuff, getting them excited. One of the ways is just communicate more frequently. I had more town halls than I ever had in my career. I had more meetings and video calls and team meetings and catch-ups and stand-ups than I ever had in any other company. And it wasn't that difficult. It just, I just realized I have to do it if I want to transmit my energy, if I want to transmit the new vision and the new strategy in order for us to move ahead. And yeah, I mean, we did as much as we could, and I think we did quite well.
I know you for a while now, and I know your style regarding the management and the people and everything, and I know that you love creating great events for your people, and hopefully this year it's going to change regarding COVID and everything, and you will have a chance to do that here in Setilje as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, good news is, and I think great news for the companies. We are celebrating 10 years anniversary actually next week, and for us, that's a milestone. Simply because, in a tech industry, in a startup industry, not too many companies see 2 years, let alone 5 years. Can you imagine 10 years? So it's a testament to everybody that believed in this company. Everybody still that's in a company from the very beginning, and we have quite a few of those employees, which I think it's a great achievement for them. Many of us that just came to the party in a 10th year, we're gonna take a lot of credit, but actually we need to be thankful to everybody that built this company in the past. But you're right, the celebration this year will be different. It will be mostly online with quite a bit of events that are related to great speakers, great motivations, rebranding and relaunching our own identity and really trying to leave a mark. But you're right. The moment the restrictions are going to be removed and so on, people will hear about Setilje's party.
So we started today Innovation Dialogue. What is customer intimacy for you and your company? Can you share with me your vision? I want to talk about the future right now. What is going to be with customer intimacy in the future? In what customer intimacy and customer relationship is going to evolve?
Yeah, I think the success of customer relationships and customer intimacy will all be around the companies that are willing to first put the customer in the center and build their own organization, their mindset, and the culture around the customer, not around anymore the product, the technology, the value proposition that they were thinking about, but really about the customer needs, the customer behaviors, and the knowledge about the customer. So I think that's happening in many industries already, and many companies that are thriving right now. They are really doing this just because they really understand the customers very well. And I think for the future and for companies that really want to succeed and really want to grow at the speed that they envision and that maybe their market and the industry is asking them to follow, it's going to be around them getting this strategy right and investing behind the right strategy and behind the right people and the culture within a company to be a bit more customer centric.
Zoran, thank you so much for having you here, and hope that you enjoy at least how much I enjoyed in this conversation. And for you out there, if you enjoyed today's conversation and talk about innovation and customer intimacy, please subscribe and see you next time when we talk about some other innovations.
Thank you.